Yo, happy Monday. It's Christmas week 2021, which is crazy because I felt like 2020 Christmas week was about a week ago, but it's a year ago. It's Flobo on Netflix. That's the show. We go into the deep archives of the Netflix originals or anything in there. It's all good, all gravy. But I'm not alone because we're talking about Lupin. So I had to get the expert here. This guy, I met them doing the whole old man driving cars thing. I'll explain to you that in just a second. Once again, please welcome Andrew St. Charles. How's it going, sir?
I am doing fantastic, Flobo. Thank you for having me once again.
Well, it's been like, a 2-year friendship. It feels like I know you for like ever, bro. How's
that?
Yeah,
no. Life's good. Life's fantastic. I can't complain. Christmas season is upon us, even though that the year's been kind of wonky. So I'm still, this is the week where I get my Christmas spirit.
Do you still give out presents, or is that like a young person's game now?
No, so we do whatever the dirty Santa, white elephant Christmas with our family. It's like, if you want to participate, great. If you not, like, we set some ground rules. Like, we try to do local. We try to do no gift cards unless it's like a local establishment, things like that, to make it kind of, put a little thought into it.
Yeah,
it's well received so far.
So if you're doing the Dirty Santa White Elephant, do you have a cap on how many steals you allow, or is it kind of just like when you're done?
We have a limit. If it's once it changes hands 2 times, it's locked.
Oh.
So, and then whoever is the first one, first person that gets drawn, if they have not had a chance to steal, they can get the last chance to steal at the very end.
So JLJV, yes, Dirty Santa White Elephant, depending on what part of the country.
Exactly. It is 100%.
Well, we're in the spirit of giving and taking as we talk about the part 2 of Lupin, a Netflix original. Like I said last time, usually I watch with subtitles, but this time I have to watch the dub because my boy is on the voice of good old Assam Diop, the English version of the awesome Warren. Just overall thoughts here, Andrew, season 2 or part 2, relation to part 1, better, worse, improves, build upon. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was good. It was a different tone than season 2, but it really kind of dove into, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it the rivalry, the ire that Asani has for Hubert Pellegrini.
Yeah.
And it really kind of dives right into that. But, because season 1, it ends with Raul getting abducted by Leonard.
Right.
And then it picks up right from that moment in season 2, and you just go in, and then it what had been like, it had already been very personal for Asani going in to it, and that just steps it up, I think, because he's responsible for killing his father. Now he's got his son, and they kind of start off with that, and they really, the kind of emotion that gets tied into it, and where almost it kind of trips up Lupin a little bit, because when you put emotion into it, you're not thinking as clearly, and you're prone to make a little mistake here and there.
Yeah, good point. What's up going on, my man Johan Pena, hanging out in that Twitch chat. But you're absolutely right. I do feel like it was right where it takes off. And I'll talk about what you liked about the season first, but let's go from house cleaning. Season 2 ratings. IMDb has it at 7.6. Rotten Tomatoes has it certified fresh at 96%. So you're saying this is an increase of the first season. Now, I was a little worried myself going into this. I thought the entire thing will be about getting Raul back, which I guess it's fine because kids are always great to have back if you're a parent. But I was a little worried that'd be the whole entire storyline. I'm so glad it was more than that. So the question I have for you is, that aside, thoughts about Pellegrini being the big bad of the back half? Did you love it? You hate it? You want something else?
I really liked it. And I was like, I really loved, like you said, you thought Raul was going to be the whole thing. But it wasn't. You're bringing the Pellegrini thing, and I really like the way that they kind of really showed how long he has been in his mischievous ways, and how long, like, he's really been impactful in Asani's life, and to the point where season 2 is, where it was about Pellegrini before. Now it's all in Pellegrini. It's like, what are we going to do to take this guy down? They're both at each other. They're both trying to take each other down, because they're both threats to what each other want to accomplish. And for what is it? For Pellegrini, it's more about his family, his legacy. Like, going to jail, or not his family, but his legacy, his money, because
Right.
obviously family is not very important to him, as he
Right.
kind of shows throughout the series, because he's willing to sacrifice his family's well-being or safekeeping to keep his money, keep his power.
Yeah.
Whereas Arseni, well, it's all family for him. So I like how they were able to follow that up with that, and then really dive into their rivalry towards the end of the series, or
Sure.
the season, I guess I should say.
Jumping ahead a bit, the end of part two. Were you satisfied how it ended? Would you want looking more? Or it was kind of like,
I was satisfied with how it. I mean, it was a nice kind of feel good, happy ending.
okay,
You kind of feel like in the long run, revenge is there, but his relationship with Juliet, who has a good heart in this whole thing, and she just wants her foundation to succeed. They kind of get what they want. Hubert's gone.
yeah,
Dumont, like anyone that's had a part in hiding this stuff for years and years and years, are kind of disappearing. But they also leave it to where he says, "I've got to disappear for a while. I've got to go
yeah,
do my own thing, and then but I'll be back." So I love that whenever season 3 occurs, I'm interested to see where they go from here. So
sure,
they've kind of closed one chapter, just like you finish any like a Lupin book, and now we're
right,
going to get a whole nother adventure. I feel like, and it'll be interesting to see how they bring in all the same characters again, or do they go to like a whole new cast? I don't know. Like it could be.
Oh, well, keep that in the back of your mind. 'Cause I'm definitely going to ask you to predict that later on. But
Right.
let's talk about Juliet for a second. So it's fantastic. I felt the chemistry. I felt the love, but kind of tricky wicky that your boy Lupin was trying to get, in her inner circle. I mean, thoughts about that? Did it work for you? Do you have reservations?
And that was part of the thing, like that. I mean, I listen, their chemistry was great. Like when they have that night out, that when she's looking for a potential donor,
Mhm.
guy doesn't show up, obviously because Arsene has made up this guy, and so his whole plan comes out, like you pull on the heartstrings a little bit. I don't know. Like I kind of go back. Like I say, kind of go back and forth about it,
Yeah.
because like in the end, he is doing what he's got to do to play the part to get Hubert in the long run, even if it
Right.
means getting down and dirty and playing with someone who he obviously thinks very well of, and still has some sort of feelings for. I feel like, at least, like
Right.
family for him is number one, but she is definitely an important part of his life. And yeah, like so doing that, and here's where I kind of like thought of this, and what's important to Juliet in this is I mean, being a Pellegrini, like she wants the foundation to be well. In the end, if she gets the money, but it is like, would she rather be with Asani, or is that just a little thing? So
This is what I'm saying. Up until this point, I was like, all right, man, root for the good guy. Hey, all right, that's I got it. I was all about that, all about get your kid back. You're an immigrant. You had to start cross level with Chloe, and she says, I can't be around with you. So I was all about this. I'm about to ship Juliet and Arsene like that. But he does, you're kind of like, I don't know if I should commend this. I know it's part of the game, but ooh.
it's straight manipulation is what it is in the long run. I mean,
Yeah.
so like if his end goal was to be like, hey, maybe we can have a future together, or if his end game was like, nah, I'm just here to,
Yeah.
get your dad and maybe help you out a little. So yeah, exactly. It depends on where your moral compass is, how you feel about it, I guess.
That's terrible. Don't do that. What do you feel about Claire, though? Not to Chloe, but Claire. I mean, do you think that there's still a chance there, or it's kind of like Dunzo?
I feel like there is a chance, but I think that kind of, especially now, the new dynamic that Raul knows exactly what his father is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a game changer in itself in the family dynamic, because I feel like there is still the Claire reconciliation that is possible. And I think that Arsani wants that, but Claire needs to know that he is done with the Lupin stuff.
Yeah, that never happens in these kind of things.
Yeah.
Just curious, did you binge it all in one piece, 2 sittings, 3 sittings weekly? How do you consume this one?
This one, I finished this one fairly quick.
Okay.
It was a quick, I mean, especially with only being 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and a little less than an hour, give or take, I
Okay.
believe, each episode. It was one that what I would normally reserve for movies. I just did 1, 2 here, and then like 2, 3, and then like the rest of them the next day. So
Ah,
a 2-day
respect.
process.
Yeah, respect. I was just always curious, especially how we take on seasons of content with Netflix. Are you like, I like to take 2 episodes back to back and then drop it and come back later. But I did watch Lupin season 2 in one sitting, but a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. Take it as one 5-hour movie. Just a small other style question. Thoughts about the disguises this part? I know we talked about that in the last part. Some of them were kind of weird. Like, I can tell it's him. How'd you feel about the disguises they used in season 2?
I mean, I felt the same way. I mean, that it's kind of like, all right, at this point, like with all the technology that's out there, I don't feel like he's fooling anyone.
Dude, he's 6'4" in his darkest night. How can you not tell it's him?
Yeah, I mean, I figured they just question anyone that looked like him at that point. But the fact that like he like it was able to do, I mean, it becomes the most wanted man in France essentially, and then people start to recognize him. But I was like, he'd already put himself out on camera on national TV in the previous season. Like, he's that's completely bonkers to me a little bit. So
yeah, I'm kind of the same boat. As like, all right, there is a suspension of disbelief. Even for me, that in part 1 we had like the old man voice. I was like, oh, that's as far as I'll go. But once that breaks, you're like, why even have the disguises at this point? But I know it's part of the dynamic of the characters. So like, how do you can't like not have it? So
yeah, I absolutely. And with like, one of the scenes that I think is fantastic and very thought provoking for me, as far as like where everyone was at, was when you go to Asani's place and you see all the costumes, you see all like the props and stuff that he's using. So he's got home base right there, and you look at these things. It's like, yeah, you blend in, kind of stuff. But I mean, like he said, he's a big, charismatic dude.
Yeah. What other aspects worked for you in this part, but even better than the first part? Once you go, okay, you got to check this out.
I believe that I mentioned before that the Leonard character, I wanted to kind of get a little bit more info because he just pops up in season 1. You really do get a little bit more in depth with how long he's been around with Pellegrini and stuff like that, and that the fact that he is the one that kills Asani's father, Babacar.
Right.
And so you see that he's been doing Pellegrini dirty work for years and years and years and years. So what I was mentioning is that when he finds, first, like, hold on, I'm gonna run through this.
Okay.
We've got, so he abducts the kid. They duke it out in the middle of this French mansion. Then all of a sudden he's under the impression that his son has been killed by Leonard, but instead, he doesn't know it at the time, but he takes off. He's on foot, and then he's got a call. I mean, and chasing after him, loses them for a bit.
Right.
Yeah, and then I mean, obviously, they're able to concoct a thing where Pellegrini's people, but Leonard failure kinda like he's got to tell Pellegrini he's failed. Pellegrini's not a guy, obviously, who likes to be told, "Hey,
it's okay."
It's okay. And then that's where Leonard was like, all right, I'm gonna fix this. Goes to kill Asani, and then what is it? Pascal is the other guy, I believe.
Yeah.
So he comes in and he was following Leonard and kills him quietly, which I thought was kind of crazy because it just so happens he's cooking dinner, he's playing the Four Tops like as loud as he can, and just misses, and then even pauses it at one point because he thinks he hears something, but yet someone gets murdered right there. And I just don't know why Pellegrini just didn't kill them both right there.
It's always a sign, man. It was like, time to relax and rest on my laurels. Certain death. But you know what? Talk about things that are bonkers and kind of weird for me. There's some things that didn't quite work for me as a discerning person, a customer of Netflix, if you will, watching part 2. Like I felt, especially in this half of the season, that Lupin was really in danger. I felt like he was going to win the day. It felt a lot easier for me this time around than the first part. Am I crazy? Am I off my rocker?
I don't think so. I think that the hardest, really, it didn't seem as hard. I would say the hardest part was probably the escape when he has to run through the catacombs, which is pretty bonkers in itself, to be honest with you. Is that that they have this storage unit that happens to connect to the catacombs from a map that they had for like what 20 years or something like that. Would you say for him and Benjamin as a kid?
Yeah.
So yeah, that I mean,
it seemed very reverse engineered. It was like, okay, we're in France. Okay, we do the Eiffel Tower, the catacombs. Let's do that.
I mean, they've already hit most of the major landmarks and stuff like that so far. So, but no, I agree. It was easier. I mean, once he was able to escape, I feel like the Leonard battle, that was probably the hardest thing for him, it seemed like.
Sure. I have one more gripe, but I'm going to put it on you right now. Was there any part that didn't really work out for you the second half? To kind of like, I don't know, man. I deserve better.
Well, here's the Claire, I mean, which I understand it, but I didn't really like it, is Claire going to Pellegrini when Raul's abducted. I never put in that situation. I hope no one gets put in that position, but it kind of seems like she almost puts them more in danger by going
right
to him.
Right.
And I feel like that, I mean, it's just a kind of a panic mode type deal. Cause I mean, it was that like 24 hours after it happened or something like that.
Yeah.
It just seemed like knowing who the father of her child is, and what's going on, that going to Pellegrini would be one of the last things.
It feels like if it was a comic book, you could have the luxury of ending it and taking a month back and opening it up with her seeing Pellegrini. But you're right. Going from point A to point B seems like a giant jump. You know what I mean? I'm totally with you. My other minor gripe was I thought Ben was way too eager to help out. He was way too eager. He was like, I'll do it. I'm like, you realize you have a hit count of 1? You will get killed like that. So that's just me complaining about stuff.
I mean, complain away.
Very small gripes, though. Very small gripes. So just again, on top of the show, I mentioned the 2 ratings I use, IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. 7.6 from them, IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes have it certified fresh at 96% over the 2 seasons. So I have to ask you, Andrew St. Charles, if you had to give a rating to Lupin Part 2, what would you do?
Let's see. I would have, if we're going to go IMDb scale, I'm going to say a 8.3.
Ooh, okay, that's a really odd number. Tell me why.
No, I really did enjoy. Like we already went through the gripes. Overall, I think that I probably liked the season more, kind of like from a critical standpoint.
Yeah.
But as just like entertainment, I was more entertained by season 1 than I was by season 2. Like I kind of liked where they went with the story and kind of wrapped up the whole Pellegrini, or sowed the seam, the Pellegrini kind of stuff. But it was kind of almost like you said, it was the capers I felt like in the first season were more entertaining than like what you had to go on in season 2.
Yeah, I'm coming with you. The idea, maybe because I got burned out by Red Notice last month. The idea of the crimes in the first couple episodes, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I'm on board. This one, of course, once you earn the goodwill of knowing these characters, okay, I want to follow that adventure. But it does seem to, I guess, maybe be a detriment of having the break. I feel there are a lot of like shows with 10 episode seasons. Perhaps Lupin should have been 1 10-episode season, as opposed to 2 5-part halves.
Yeah. No, I think that would actually have been a fantastic thing. That way, when just like you said, you have that break, and it's kind of like, all right, well, that first 5-parter was this way, and you know.
Yeah, Charlene says happy holidays. Happy holidays, Charlene. Thanks so much for watching live. So now, like I teased before, season 3 or part 3 has been announced. And so the world is your oyster, Mr. St. Charles. If you had an opportunity of making something hot for season 3, what would you have in mind?
Season 3. All right. So I would
kill
say,
characters off. You could add characters. You could do
and that's the whole thing. I think you got to keep the family involved somehow. I would like to see a different city altogether, like or different cast of characters or something like that. Except for like I would say like the family, Ben, like the people within the inner circle. But I would like to see how but not as much of them, not them be as big a focus. I want to see what he's got in store. Like what's going to progress him from getting, because it seems like the goal is to quit all this one day. What's he got to do to get to that point, and I would like to see more of that, or how they're going to incorporate that into season 3.
So I'm with you. The new city would definitely be helpful, but I have like 3 different theories. If you either do like Italy for the artifacts, I think, Quebec for the French side of things, or we go to Africa to talk to the dad's side in Senegal. Ooh. I think one of those 3 things would be the most likely, but I'm not sure which one would be like the most entertaining, I guess.
You know what? I think that the Senegal one would be really entertaining. Because, I like to see the backstory. I mean, obviously, how he got there, and what made. I mean, obviously, he was a pretty sharp dude that was leaving messages and code and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did that come to be about? So, I mean, like, did he get taught by someone else? Was his father the same way? Like, I think that would be a really cool thing to do as well. And then maybe somehow tie it into whatever he's got to do to clear his name and all of that stuff.
I'm with you, man. And of course, out of respect for Lupin, I'm going to take violin lessons after this. As you say, Charles, thanks so much for hanging with me on Flobo on Netflix. Now, if everyone wants to hang out with you, connect with you, stalk you online, how to go about doing that?
All right. I am not super active on the social media, but I am. But I'm trying to get more active on Twitch. So if you want to find me on Twitch, you can get me at twitch.tv. Saint_sleep is me.
Okay.
So just find Saint_sleep. I also will be doing some casting tonight for Senior Series Esports.
And what's that?
And that is an organization for 30+ individuals that want to play with other like-minded. Sometimes
30+ is old.
It's pretty tough to talk to some of the kids sometime and stuff like that. So just some like-minded people. Listen, I'm getting close to 40. I'm just like,
go to the Ultra Cedar group. I hear you.
That's right.
Flobo on Netflix airs, I think, 3 times a month on YouTube and on the audio versions. And of course, if you want more stuff, I do a version where I do just a comedy special on Netflix, but that's Patreon only. Patreon.com/Flobo Boys. You get that bonus episode of Flobo on Netflix monthly. But of course, if you guys want Mr. St. Charles to back, you can do it. If you had you come back, right? Season 3, you're down?
Oh, 100%. I'd love nothing more.
I was going to put your name in there, but I was like, what do I do, your real name? Anyway, Saint_sleep on that Twitch. Do that. I'm out of here. Until next time, this is Flobo on Netflix. Yeah!